Hi guys, Nige back here again with another inbox review, and today we're going to be looking at the Kotare Spitfire, the Brian Lane version. Okay, this kit is being produced by some of the people that used to work for Wingnut Wings. Okay, so it's the early, well, it's the, I believe it's the mid Spitfire, and you get, there he is, the Brian Lane figure in there, the resin figure. Okay, so before we'll move on and we'll get you straight into the overheads. So like always, okay, we start with the actual booklet, and as you can see, it's quite a nice glossy booklet. Got a little bit of bump on the front about the actual aircraft. We've then got some warning instructions, some bits and pieces when to paint, when to not paint, and what have you. We've then got our colour callouts in Tamiya, Humbrol, and the FSBS number. So all these ones are going to be, majority of them are the FS number, and we do have some British standard numbers as well. Then we move on to our sprue map. So we've got 4 grey plastic, 1 clear, our decals, and our resin figure. So straight away we move straight into the cockpit. Okay, so we've got the cockpit panel there, and you can actually see a picture of what it's meant to look at like, which is quite good. We've then got the cockpit floor, the control parts of it, so the rudders, pedals. Then move on to the control yoke. We've then got 2 types of pilot seat. Okay, one looks like it's already got a the seat belts on, and then we've got the armor plating. So it tells you to cut it there so you can feed it through, and then it's sticking out the other side. We've then got a part where you have to drill some holes for more detail. You don't necessarily have to that. And then we've got the flare chutes that are going in there. So these just here and here are the flare chutes. We've got the where to put the seat belts. We've then got a painting guide, so it tells you all the parts to actually paint. So the seat belts, the seat, the floor, and the other bulkheads. We've got the side of the actual cockpit painted there, which then closes together, very similar to the Edard versions, but this obviously has got the floor on. And then also you've got, well, obviously, but you've got some more photos there. Then we move on to the fuselage interior. You've got your engine cowling, you've got your parts for your exhaust stacks, you've got the internal parts for the actual one side, and then the internal parts for the other side, showing where it to go. We then have a spine, so we don't have to worry about the actual seam line. We've got the fuel tank cover, so again, no seam line. And we've got the top cowling, again, so no seam line. So that's really, really well thought out in my eyes. We've then got the control surface for the tail going together. And again, another picture of the tail down there. Move on to the wings and the wing spar. Adding the wheel wells on there. The parts for the Brownings, okay. I don't know, that must be the part to cut them off. We then got the wings joining together before we add these fillets at the side of the fuselage. So hopefully, again, very little seam lines, because that is a panel line that goes down the aircraft. Again, another nice black and white pictures of the fabric covered ailerons. And then we've got the actual, another picture there, adding the radiator and other bits and pieces, again with some photos. Then we look at again adding the bottom cowling and oil tanks. So this bit just here, and again, photos there what it should look like. Undercarriage going on. Okay, I'm just seeing if you can have the undercarriage up or down. I'm not sure. Okay, but I like how they've got it, makes a note of the angles there, and you've got pictures top and bottom that shows you all about it. Following that, we then have the exhaust mounted together. Not sure about this two-part. Yes, there normally is a seam line down the actual exhaust, but again, these parts here, they shouldn't have it, so it might be easy to get rid of, it might not. Okay, depends on where it is. Then it's telling you, look, you can cut these parts out for more detail, but in 1/32, I probably would expect that to already be hollow, but we'll see. We've then got the canopy. Okay, so we've got an open and closed canopy, and then we have got how the aerial wheel enters. Before we move on to Brian, John, Edward, Lane. So there is resin figure, and there is some photos actually of the pilot. And then we've got the colour call outs with, you know, a write up about Brian and the Spitfire again. And then we've got some photos actually for reference, which is really, really nice. And then some pictures of the actual people who produced and did the bits and pieces in this aircraft, or model should I say. So moving straight on to the plastic. So got 4 sprues to look at. So this is the first one. We have weight on wheels, 2 parts with a nice bulge on. We have one of the radiators, parts for the bulkheads or the frame of the cockpit, wheel wells, the flare dispensers, and then the engine exhaust. And just look at them, there is no actual hollow. Even when you put them together, you're not going to, so you might, if you want to hollow these out, it might be easier to actually hollow them out now before you put them together and then put them together. So there's some nice detail on there. Okay, doors, plates, nothing really to write home about. Then we've got a lovely instrument panel. Okay, very, very nicely done there. Tail wheel, seats, and as you can see, we've got on this one, we have got the seat belts on it and then one without. We've got one of the bulkheads. The side of the cockpit, or both sides, with the tanks in here, you can see them. And it's nice that they've moulded that all as one. That looks really, really nicely done. And all the parts are on there, so you haven't got to faff about with all these little parts. But again, we've got piping, we've got rivet detail. Yeah, so really, really nice. More parts of the seat. Again, we have some rivet detail on there. Next part is part of the main fuselage and the floor. So nice floor, nicely done floor there again with some nice raised rivet detail. Front cowling, bottom cowling again with some nice, you can see the nice run of rivets over there. And then the fuselage, it's got raised rivets there and on the actual spine and on there, running around. They look nicely going towards the bottom, but there's nothing on the front or on the tailplanes of the actual aircraft. I believe those rivets on the front would be flush anyway. And then we have the control surfaces for the tails. The final grey plastic sprue is the wings. So we've got the lower and upper wings. Nice panel lines. This fillets again, really nice. Okay, and into the radiator, some rivet detail in places and some not. So again, the control surfaces all one piece. And then we've got, it must be part of the cannon over there. Swap it over and then we can see the interior detail of the wheel wells and the lower, well, that's another part of the wheel wells. Okay, because then we've got this cutout here for where the bottom of the actual cockpit sits. The two-part control yoke just there looks really nice. Really fine moulding. Really fine, thin moulding. Next up, clear parts. Again, that looks superb. Okay, some nice detail on the actual frame of the clear parts, really nicely done. Which moves us on to the Brian Lane figure. Okay, so that's his body. His arms and the fella's head. So really nicely molded. Okay, we then move on to the decals, and these are printed by Cartograph, so I can't envision any problems with these. So we've got the roundels and the Brian Lane's squadron numbers and codes. Overall, it looks a very nice kit. My only gripe is that there's no riveting on the wings or the front of the fuselage. Now, I know they would probably be flush, they wouldn't have been raised, but that's a big space not to have any sort of interest. So if it was me, I would look at riveting that area, but riveting it should be fairly easy because it's just a big flat plane. The easy parts to rivet are going to be these parts and the front of the actual aircraft itself. That shouldn't be an issue. The hard part for riveting is when you've got a rivet in parts like this. Okay, which they have got some rivets, but they have, again, not at the front, but whether they had them or not, you know, and over the rear of fuselage, that can be quite tough to actually do that bit. But other than that, it's an absolutely superb kit. Okay, so you've got this one, you've got the mid, and you've got the early. I believe they're going to be fetching out a Mark 5, which again should be lovely. I'm not saying it's basic kit because it's got a lot of detail actually in the cockpit, but it hasn't got an engine or anything like that. So this should build up to a nice simple model that you can go to town with, maybe with the weathering and all that sort of stuff. But that's just my take on it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.